pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting of October 16, 2025. Motion Dr. Siddiqui, seconded by Mr. Edwards. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? 4-0. All right, Mr. Bell, it's quick today, see?
Good evening, trustees, administration, and to our Elwood community. I am happy to update everyone on our schools and students. This month has been busy inside and outside of the classroom. Starting at Harley, the Halloween Parade and the Harvest Festival were a great success, thanks to all of our wonderful PTA volunteers who made the day so special. Mrs. LaBarbara and Mrs. Shom's class have begun their year-long partnership with Ms. Fucci's high school Child Development elective class. Harley Avenue's Wall of Fame kicked off last week, and each new group of students will be highlighted throughout the school year. Last Friday, the school held a ribbon-cutting ceremony for our brand-new book vending machine, generously donated by the PTA. Each Friday, students featured on the Wall of Fame will have the opportunity to select a book. We're excited to see how this inspires a love of reading amongst our students. At the end of the month, we will hold our first Harley Nights Assembly, focused on the theme of responsibility. Our kindergarten students are hard at work practicing for their upcoming Thanksgiving feast performance, and the Blooming Buddies Club is up and running for the year. Shifting to Boyd is happy to report that all of the Halloween festivities went smoothly. Thank you to all of our wonderful, helpful workers, and there's a large parent turnout for the Halloween parade at Boyd, even many of the parents dressed up. The students who are attending our Booster Club programs are enjoying them. This session, we've had some new and great after-school clubs starting. We are loving the Boyd Lounge, which is our new indoor recess space, and all of our games that the PTA has donated. The students were also able to enjoy our new indoor recess tubs, filled with new exciting games when it rained earlier this week. Many students received night cards to be part of the PBIS program. And finally, students have enjoyed celebrating our JMVPs over the last 2 months and look forward to celebrating our next group of students at the end of this month. At EMS, our Halloween social was a huge success this year and took place during the school day. Students wore their costumes to school, and we were thrilled to see EMS transformed into Andy's room, with staff dressed entirely in Toy Story theme. We celebrated the day with a social featuring various activities, games, a DJ, and Italian ices. It was a fun and memorable celebration for all the students. The 7th grade students recently participated in an educational field trip to the Sunken Meadow State Park to experience a marsh walk. This hands-on trip allowed students to observe the park's unique salt marsh ecosystem firsthand. Students focused on identifying different plants and species that live in the marsh environment and discussed their adaptations. This activity provided a valuable real-world connection to the study of biology and environmental science. During court, our advisory period groups have been found focusing on building community and getting to know each other. Students have participated in a number of program-building activities and community circles, and recently completed their first ADL lesson. Shifting to JGHS, the fall sports season has come to a close, and we want to recognize what an incredible season it has been for our teams. Many of our athletes advanced to the postseason play, including volleyball, boys and girls cross country, girls tennis, boys and girls soccer, and swimming. A big congratulations to the boys soccer and girls cross country on capturing county championships, and to Melanie Robert, who made it to the county finals in tennis. And a congratulations to the boys soccer team, who won the Long Island Championship, an achievement not seen since 1990. The senior breakfast took place this week and culminated with the class of 26 picture. And our October students of the month are Peter Rapetti, Emma Hall, Susanna Uceda, and Caleb Hebert. JGHS admitted the PSAT to all 10th and 11th grade students this month. SADD blood drive was held on November 12th, and thank you to all of our students and volunteers who participated. Ms. Fusaro and Ms. Pellegrino for promoting and organizing the event, and thank you to everyone who donated to save lives. The counseling department will be holding college application workshops in the library during lunch periods every Tuesday this month. And don't forget, the mark period 1 ends November 14th. Grades will be posted to the portal on November 28th. Furthermore, teachers recently took part in a full day of professional development during Superintendent's Conference Day. The day featured a wide range of workshops led by our own talented staff members, along with several guest presenters who shared their expertise. It was a full and productive day of learning and collaboration. A big thank you to all the staff members who led sessions and helped make the day such a success. Other than that, we are excited for another wonderful year ahead. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you, Peter. I know Mr. Scrolla, would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say, it was a great fall season for all of our athletes, so congratulations. I had the pleasure, along with Mr. Walters, Ms. Weiss, attended the Long Island Championship and the County Championship, and it was just amazing to watch the teamwork. Maybe these other teams maybe had a little bit more skill than us, but the grit that our team had on the soccer field, and the coach and the positive energy where the other teams were fighting with each other. The coach was yelling at them. Coach Hannah was very calm. The boys, very calm. They didn't give up. They were down in both games. And, I know I'm not on the team, but my heart was racing. And it was just amazing to see, besides winning the championship, the sportsmanship from the Knights and picking each other up when they're down. Like I said, while some of the other teams were just imploding. Kudos to them, and just really shows. And even the audience members from other teams were saying inappropriate words. Our fans were the best. So it was something that I went home and I was smiling. And in 1990, I was in 6th grade. So, it was a long time. I had a full head of hair and braces the last time we won the Long Island Championship. So I just wanted to point out that besides the win, the sportsmanship, the teamwork, and the grit that this team had was just unbelievable. And I'm very happy that I got to witness it. So congratulations again to all of our athletes, and great sportsmanship, including Mr. Shanahan too, our AD. He's working more than ever, and congratulations. That's all I just wanted to add to that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Peter, obviously a wonderful job, always articulating what's going on over all of our buildings. One little detail Mrs. Scroll left out is you're the captain of that team, correct? One of the captains. So a special congratulations to you as captain of the team. You led them to a great season, along with the coaches and all your teammates. So congratulations on the victorious season and for rallying in some really tough times. I wasn't able to make the games, but Mr. Scrolla was the PR person for your soccer team for this Board of Education. He had clip by clip, we're down by this in the first, and we got 30 seconds left as a penalty kick. We were apprised of everything, and our hearts may not have been racing as much. We were biting our nails, hoping for the W's, and you guys just kept delivering, right in the end, overtime, penalty kicks. You guys did a really, you band together as a team. So congratulations on a wonderful season. Something you won't forget. In 1990, I was born, Mrs. Scrolla. Just born. I was, yes. No kicking under the table, Mr. Uncle. All righty. Well, congratulations again. That brings us up to our superintendent's report. As you can tell, we are missing 2 at our dais this evening. So Mrs. Weiss is dealing with some personal matters, and Dr. Siddiqui Dr. Siddiqui is right here. That's where Dr. Siddiqui is. Dr. Steele had an injury this morning, so she's unable to be with us this evening. So she is okay. We are just sending our best to her for a speedy recovery, but she is doing well. But she wanted me to say on her behalf that she is sorry for not being here this evening. And in her absence, Miss Eileen Kelly Gorman is going to be giving her update this evening.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to have this opportunity, although I don't know that I could do it as well as Mr. Bell does. Thank you so much to all who were able to attend our budget reflection and future planning forum last week. It was a great conversation, and we appreciate the feedback from our community members. A recording of the meeting and the presentation can be found on our district website. We will also provide information on how to access both in our winter edition of the Elwood Highlights, which is mailed out and received to all households in the Elwood School District. Inside that publication will also be instructions on how to sign up as a guest for our notifications from the district, so please be on the watch for that. The first meeting of our CFBC, Citizens Finance and Budget Committee, will be held on Wednesday, January 21st at 6 p.m. in the middle school library. This week wrapped up our assembly program with Dr. Stephen Dewey, a neuroscientist and psychiatrist from NYU. Dr. Dewey led an assembly program entitled An Examination of the Effects of Substances of Abuse and Behaviors on the Teen Brain. Last night, he presented to our parents, and we had a great turnout. We want to thank our PTA for providing pizza for some of our students who were here babysitting, and for the students who were here being babysat by our high school students. And thank you to Ms. Fucci and Mr. Over at the high school for helping to organize having those student volunteers here for us. Dr. Dewey's message was valuable and of great importance, and thank you again to Dr. Meyer for organizing this segment of our parent university. We celebrated a ribbon cutting for a book vending machine at Harley Avenue last week. This was an idea that we know the PTA had in mind for a while, and it was nice to see it come to fruition this year with Mrs. Bolello. Each week, Harley students will be highlighted on their wall of fame. They will be recognized, receive a token to select a book from the vending machine during their special week, ensuring that by the end of the year, every student has an opportunity to enjoy a new book from the vending machine. Our sports highlights: a very big congratulations to Peter Bell and the boys varsity soccer team who won the Long Island Championship. What a great turnout from the community for that game, and although the regional finals may not have turned out as we would have liked, our team should be proud of all that they and Coach Hanner accomplished this year. To come back in the Long Island finals and defeat the team that knocked us out last year is an amazing feat, so congratulations to all. We look forward to highlighting all of our fall sports teams and their accomplishments at our next board meeting. Thank you to all for your flexibility and understanding as we rescheduled our fall sports awards to accommodate that soccer game, and congratulations to all of our athletes and their families that were recognized during that evening. We had 3 amazing student athletes who did early signings to play sports at the NCAA level. Nora Trical committed to play Long Island University Post for soccer. Layla Dale committed to Marist University for soccer. And Cameron Zaccoli will be going to SUNY Geneseo for cross country. Congratulations to all of the girls, and we look forward to additional student athlete signings later on in the school year. And Ms. Dunkel is going to do our committee updates.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. So our first safety committee and our first facilities committee were both held in October. Both liaisons, Mr. Tomio and Mr. Walter Edwards, were both in attendance at both of these meetings. For the safety committee, items discussed were security vestibules for all 4 of our buildings and what those costs and implementation process could possibly be. We also discussed our armed guard staff and the benefit of having multiple layers of security through both infrastructure and technology. For the Facilities Committee, we highlighted all the great summer work that took place through our buildings and ground and custodial staff around the district, including the landscaping of the JGHS and EMS roadway, the renovations to the middle school gym, and updates to our sprinkler/irrigation systems. And we're saving a lot of money doing this because we have a very talented staff in our maintenance department and our grounds department, as well as our custodial staff. So they're doing amazing work in-house and giving us the ability to save funds on doing that instead of going out to separate contractors. So I thank the staff and thank Mr. Caratu for his hard work. Also discussed were our current boiler repairs and the need to include replacement costs moving forward. Each of our buildings are aging, as are the boilers that support those buildings. So we are discussing how we're going to work on replacing those costs, which led us to a beginning conversation regarding a bond. We discussed the need for a bond following our 2023 building condition survey, and more information regarding that bond will be discussed at our next meeting being held in January, and we encourage all community members to attend. We also briefly discussed the bond at the Budget Reflection and Future Planning Forum, and again, that video is available on our website, so for more information, please take a few minutes to review that presentation and video as well. Lastly, for the members of both the Safety and the Facilities Committee have proposed to combine these 2 committees into one, as they overlap each other in many, many ways. An official proposal will be brought to the Board of Education in December to do so. Next on to the Legislative Committee. Our first Legislative Committee was held this past Monday. Dr. Steele, Mr. Tomio, and Dr. Meyer were all present. Items discussed were concerns across the school districts, potential cuts in title funding and Medicaid funding. We also talked about electric bus mandates, increased numbers of charter schools, all things that are threatening the budgets and core values of our public education system. Moving forward, we will be drafting letters to our elected officials, voicing our concerns and highlighting the possible impacts on our schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dunkel. Appreciate the update, and for both of you stepping in in Dr. Steele's absence. Great job. That brings us up to our residents' remarks. Any residents wishing to address the board? Seeing no residents, we'll move on to policies. We're up for our second read and adoption of our policies. I have a motion to approve all the policies listed under G. Motion by Dr. Siddiqui, seconded by Mr. Edwards. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? 4-0. We're now up to our presentations. We have two presentations this evening, one about our website and another on data. Peter, this is your time to sneak away from the dais if you'd like to. And with no further ado, Mr. Honorato.
All right, thank you very much, Board of Education, community. This has been a months beyond months long project. I am so happy that we are finally at this point with the community feedback that we've received to develop our website, to make it so strategic and easy to navigate. Everything was done purposefully. A lot of collaboration, and we're just very excited to begin this digital ribbon cutting. So without further ado, on behalf of the Technology Committee.
Hooray! Congratulations, everyone.
Welcome to the new Elwood Union Free School District webpage. We're excited to share the new site and believe you will find it to be cleaner, easier to navigate, and ultimately capture the beauty of the Elwood School District. Our new site is filled with beautiful, updated aerial shots of all of our campuses here at Elwood that demonstrate the incredible scope and stunning architecture of our state-of-the-art facilities. With the input of our community, we have strategically built quick navigation buttons on each page so the information you desire is right at your fingertips. Tucked away neatly within a hidden menu, you will find information pertaining to departments, the Board of Education, school calendars, community resources, and much more. As you scroll down on each of our school's web pages, users will have immediate access to the building's news and events, building-specific calendars, and an inside look into Elwood's social media accounts. With the click of a button, the entire site is translatable, reflecting our core commitment to an inclusive experience for all members of our community. This is more than just a website. It is the new digital front door to our schools, built with every member of our community in mind. We are happy to present to you the new and improved Elwood Union Free School District website.
Thank you so much. So yes, our website is finally here. Very easy to navigate. We have quick link tabs right on the bottom. Quick link tabs on the side as well. Each website has news and events specific to that school, as well as a calendar. The school's icon is on the right-hand side tab and allow you to travel into whichever school you choose. Now, specific to the school, we also have access at the bottom to our social media feed. And this is truly just the beginning. So we're at a point right now where we were ready to launch, and now we're going to take the rest of this year to gather feedback from the community and staff to continue to fine-tune this to meet the needs of our community members. And this is the site. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Honorado, and to the Technology Committee. I know, like, as you said, this has been an immense amount of work and a lot of conversation and input in order to get to the final product, and the product looks amazing. The ability to have accessibility and easeability is something that we've heard, over time, and as technology evolves, it's very hard to keep up. Not everybody can have an AI bot like yourself that can talk for you. That was great. I need one of those. But it's really something that is state of the art, and it's really, really nice to have that on our website and be proud of something that when people are looking for information, it's easy to get to. So to the committee and to yourself, great job.
And if I can just add, I was very lucky as a board. This is something we've been wanting to do for a long time. Ms. Weiss and I have been the chairs for the Technology Committee for the last 5 years. Under our former Mr. Trentini started this. Mr. Ionato took it over. We had wonderful community members come out. We had great, I'd like to thank the entire tech staff for working on this. It was a passion of all of us on the board here to see a more fluid, easy to access website. Obviously, as we mentioned before, we'll be fine tuning it. So if any resident out there sees something that might be helpful, feel free to email us. We just want a site where people can go and find what they want in 1 or 2 clicks. So I'd like to thank the entire tech team, board members, administration, everyone that supported this project. That's, took us a couple of years to get here, but I'm very proud of what we see here. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Scrolla. And now something that is going to most likely be on our website. Dr. Meyer, a little bit of our story.
Thank you, Mr. Tomio. It actually was put up this evening on the curriculum page, so you can find the link to our story there. As well as on your way in, we developed these advocacy brochures that tell a little bit about our story. So feel free to grab one on the way out, but it's available digitally as well on our website. So I have the extreme pleasure tonight of talking about all things data in Elwood School District. I assure you that it will be riveting. Our story is a little bit of a different approach to the data presentation. Given the tough budget year that we had last year, given the changes in the standards across the state, we really felt it was important to take a deep dive and talk about who we are as an Elwood learning community so that we can reflect and elevate Elwood. So Elwood Elevate is our theme for the year, and it's not just kind of like a catchy slogan, but really we've asked our educators across the district to innovate in teaching and learning, to innovate in meeting the needs of our students through our multi-tiered system of supports, to integrate authentic learning experiences, and then to ensure a welcoming and affirming environment for all of our students. And of course, as always, inspire curiosity and passion in each of the courses that we teach across our 4 buildings. So a special thank you to the Board of Education for guiding the setting of our district goals. We do have 4 goals for this school year. They were worked on by the entire leadership team. They've been shared across our district, and this is really our beacon, if you will. We are using these as a leadership team to ensure that all the things that we stand for here in Elwood are being attended to, and much of that you will see throughout this presentation tonight. So the goal that we're really focusing on here is the enhancement of our school-to-community partnerships. Last spring we heard a lot about transparency and communicating with our district, and that is what tonight is about, promoting transparency and how we're doing, assisting in decision-making, as well as assuring accountability. So New York State has been over the course of the last year or so sharing information about Portrait of a Graduate. It was shared by passed by the New York State Board of Regents, and they are implementing sort of a plan to shift graduation requirements for high school students. as well as look at the P through 12 continuum across education in New York State. So what this means for us is that when we're looking at our story, we're also looking at ways in which our story matches what's happening in Portrait of a Graduate and room for growth in matching what's happening in a Portrait of a Graduate. So this is really a call to action by New York State, and it does help us to design moving forward. So there are chapters to this story, and these are the chapters that we will go through. I promise you they're quick chapters, but the first we really want to talk about is our rich history. So Elwood Community Pride is pervasive. We are Elwood, we're a small town, we have deep roots, we have strong traditions, and extraordinary student focus. And this is a rare and powerful combination. When we're looking at our history in relation to how our diversity is changing over time, it's important to know who we are. So this is a 10-year look back with the most recent year. It's hard to see, the years are on the bottom, but the most recent year was last school year. And this is the percentage of enrollment by ethnicity. So that bottom bar for our bar graph are Asian students, then we have Black students, Hispanic, multiracial, and white. And so as you can see, we are changing a bit in our demographics, right? We're becoming a bit more diverse. And as we're becoming more diverse, we're looking for ways within the curriculum to ensure that welcoming and affirming environment. So we are proud to have no place for hate distinction across all 4 of our buildings. It's an Anti-Defamation League program that's really student-led and empowering. We participate with the Huntington Anti-Bias Task Force. We honor and celebrate our diverse cultures through various multicultural initiatives across the buildings. And we have English language learner family nights and a whole host of other things to sort of support our diversity and amplify our diversity as a strength. So here in Elwood, we know that our diversity is our strength. However, we need to acknowledge the many families and learners that show resiliencies. So here's some information that we've been looking back again over a few years, and we're looking at our combined wealth ratio. So the combined wealth ratio measures a school district's wealth by averaging its real property value and the income of the residents relative to the state average. So the state average is always set at a 1, and as you can see by the graph, we hover just over the 1. What's important about this is used in our state aid formula, and when we're hovering just over the 1, we're considered a wealthy school district, even though about 25% of our population is economically disadvantaged. So there's a little bit of a paradox there. As you can see, our enrollment was declining for some time, but now we're meeting the COVID babies. They are in our kindergarten and preschool classrooms, and so we're seeing a bit of an uptick and trying to maintain that in our curricular planning and scheduling in the building matrix. So more on resilience. Our heterogeneous community brings both strengths and challenges. So our blue line at the bottom, these are our English language learners, and you can see we've had an uptick lately. So we're trying to meet the needs of multiple languages in our district. So currently the most common languages spoken district are Spanish, Urdu, Chinese, Korean, Mandarin, French, Russian, Haitian Creole, and Creole. So we have quite a few languages, and our English language learning teachers are really working to support students in just their proficiency of the English language in order to support the rest of their academics. Our students with disabilities are increasing, as is the cost of educating them. At our budget reflection, the last week, we were talking about FAIF 22. That's an unfunded mandate where we're now mandated to educate specialist students with disabilities until the age of 22. And there has been no state funding associated with that. So when we're looking at rising costs for students with disabilities, a rising population, rising costs, those are challenges and resiliencies we need to overcome. And just as I said before, that top line is our economically disadvantaged line. And you can see we have a population here in Elwood schools for economically disadvantaged. So while there are many challenges and resiliencies, there are also many strengths, and we have many points of pride. So I've selected just a few this evening. So you may have seen through Parent Square and on our fancy new website that we were ranked number 6 on Niche's best schools in Suffolk County. We received a score of an A+. And there was some question about what goes into this score, and so just a quick explanation. It's a combination of public data review, users review, and it's weighted and analyzed through advanced algorithms. So it looks at things like academic achievement, student and parent feedback, teacher quality, diversity, and resources. Another piece that we often talk about historically is our U.S. News and World Report. It's been changing over time. So on this slide, it's actually important to note that going down on the graph, when it reappears, is better, right? The lower the number, the higher your ranking, if you will. So our ranking for this year is 112 in New York State and 1,153 in the U.S. There is a scorecard that I have there up on the left. We received a 93.56. But one of the things that we really have to keep in mind when we're looking at some of these things like Niche and U.S. News and World Report is that methodologies change over time and the number of schools that they're looking at. So when we're looking year after year, we're not necessarily comparing apples to apples. The schools and districts within that have been changing over time. We are ranked one of the top 5 in Suffolk County. All right, a few more glows, if you will. So we have 2,152 students, that's P through 12. We have 77 UPK students currently, that's at capacity. And we are continually advocating as a legislative committee, as a leadership team for more spots in that grant funding for UPK, because we know that if we had more seats, we would have more young learners to fill them. With our kindergarten classes over 100 or so, you can see where we're kind of not where we need to be with the number of seats that we've been allocated. We do have a one-to-one initiative. We offer 21 AP courses, and last year in June, we had 29 recipients of the AP Capstone Diploma. That is sort of the more rigorous piece of AP. Students are always welcome to take an AP course. The AP Capstone program has to do with the number of AP courses you take, as well as taking an AP seminar and research course. So 29 of our students challenged themselves at that level of rigor and were able to become capstone recipients through the College Board. We also had 29 AP scholars. We have 50 CTE students, career and technical education students, that attend Western Suffolk BOCES for things like electrician, cosmetology, construction. They also attend the Long Island School for the Arts. So students are engaged in authentic learning experiences through those programs. We offer 80 K through 12 clubs. We have 794 3 through 12 students participating in at least one performing group across the district. We are annually recognized as one of the best communities for music education. We have 56 athletic teams. winning multiple awards, as you heard in our superintendent's report. And once again, we were honored to be a NISBA School of Distinction. What that means is that each one of our varsity teams is a scholar athlete team, meaning that 75% or more of them have a 90 or above average on those teams. We had 6 Seal of Biliteracy recipients. We had 39 Seal of Civic Readiness recipients. We're a former Blue Ribbon School of Excellence school at John Glenn High School, and we are a current national forum for middle schools to watch and Association for Middle Level School of Distinction. So lots of things to be proud of here in Elwood. So given our challenges and our strengths, now we reflect. And what do we use to reflect? Well, here are our tools. In the elementary level, we have iReady for literacy and math. This is our universal screener, and we give it in K through 8. We give it 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring. And it's a way to have a benchmark for all of our students to see how they're doing. We also have oral reading fluency at the elementary level. We have articulation meetings and instructional support team meetings where leadership teams in the building are really looking at each and every student and ensuring that we are supporting them with their challenges and honoring their strengths. We also do a lot of work within the classroom for assessments, assignments, teacher observations, and things like that. So there's lots of things that we're looking at, as well as the New York State exams. All right, so starting with the New York State 3 through 8 assessments, here we have just a general assessment participation rate over time. And as you can see, we have, on average, about 65% of our students participate in these exams. And what's notable about that is, well, it excludes 35% of our population. So it's a little bit difficult when we're trying to glean, trends from this data, because 35% of our students are missing from it. So we still look at it. Any data is good data to look at, but it's not the strongest measure for us. So here it is, last year's 3 through 8 assessments. And if you take a look, we've got the grade levels in the bottom, grades 3 through 8. On the side, we have the percentage of proficiency is the blue bar for Elwood. The yellow bar is our mastery. And then the red and green bars are how we compare to Long Island. And so as you can see across the board in our ELA assessments, we are outperforming Long Island on these assessments. Same story with math, same setup for the graph, and again, we are outperforming Long Island on the assessments, but again, 65% of our students. So this is a little bit difficult to see on here, but again, it is posted on the website. This is our universal screener, that iReady that I talked about, and this is one of the many views that we use as a team to look from this. So this view here, it's a little difficult to see, is from the spring of last year. So we said we give it in the fall, winter, and spring. So this is the final assessment for last year, and it's for reading in K through 8. So we're looking at general trends. And one of the things that you can see in those bottom bars is in those middle bars, excuse me, is you can kind of see those green lines. We're looking at green lines as being on grade level, and yellow and red where students need a little bit of attention. And so we look at those areas and we plan instruction accordingly. So the instruction that the instructional goals that we pulled from this are academic and content level vocabulary, as well as reading comprehension in informational text, right? So nonfiction. This is a view of reading for just this fall. Now you'll notice that the green bars shifted all the way to the left, and that might look alarming, but it sort of makes sense because it's the fall. So our students should have mastered about 1/3 of our curriculum. So the bars being at 1/3, that's okay, that's typical. All right, so the next one is our view of math. Again, the green bars we're looking at Here our area of focus is geometry. One of the things that we note about geometry, especially at the elementary school, is it's typically the last unit in the school year to be taught. And so the thought is, are the kids distracted? Is it a little bit rushed? Is it post-test? And so we're looking at those sort of things to strengthen our instruction in those areas. And again, this is the fall view. Again, the bars shift all the way to the left, but again, it's fall and the students are only really just beginning their grade level, and so we shouldn't see high levels of mastery yet. When we move along to the June 25 Regents proficiency, here you have the Regents exams listed on the bottom, and the mastery rate in percentage are the bars. So the Elwood bars are blue, and the Suffolk County bars are green. And as you can see, with the exception of one exam, we typically outperform Suffolk County, and this is true, you'll see in a few moments, year over year. So the same goes for our mastery rates. These are students that are getting those level 5s on the exams. Again, we're outperforming Suffolk County. All right, so a very, very quick run through of our 10 assessments. It's important to note a few things about our assessments, and that is that our assessments are changing. And so when we're looking at these bar graphs, we're looking at, again, blue is the mastery for Elwood, and yellow is the passing rate, if you will, the proficiency, as compared to New York State this time. You can see that black COVID bar in there when all things were disrupted, including assessments. And then you can also see that there are when new exams are coming. So I don't know why it didn't pull up on here, but the new ELA assessment is coming this June. And so our departments are really preparing for that shift in assessment. Algebra 1 exam, again, we're looking at the results. We had a new exam in 2023. Again, we outperform New York State. And we'll get to what we dug into and what we're planning for this year, but again, I wanted to give you some quick glimpses. So this is how we perform overall. The geometry exam was new in 24. We don't have the comparisons to the state in the 2025 school year. That's why it's missing the blue and green. Algebra 2, again, these will be posted. Earth and Space Science, that will be a new assessment for Elwood for this year. It was actually offered for the first time last June, and our teachers made a very conscious choice to hold off a year so that they could see the first assessment before we put it in front of our students. That's the same for Earth Science as well as for biology. And then chemistry and physics will be next. It's being offered this June, but again, the teachers will hold off one more year, and we'll administer those assessments in June of 2027. Bless you. The global history exam, it's been a few years in its administration, as well as the U.S. history. And so we're looking at these overall trends here, but we also sat as departments with some release time, and we really dug into our data. We looked at each question, the item analysis. We looked at general trends, what parts of the exam are our students doing well on, what are some areas where they need a bit of attention. We looked at students who were near mastery and what would be the difference to get them up above that 85. And we also looked at students that were near passing and did the same. So we were looking at that as a department, as departments, and I chose kind of just 4 general things that the departments gleaned from their in-depth data analysis. The first is that we're moving the ELA Regents to January. The ELA Regents is traditionally given in the junior year. Junior year happens to be a very heavy testing year for students, and so the department has made the conscious decision to move to January, so it lightens a little bit of the load in June. We know that our students are going to be prepared as they've changed the curriculum a little bit to match that. And then we have some time at the end of the year to start prepping for AP, higher level work, and other things. So we've seen other districts do this with some really positive results in increasing mastery and proficiencies. Again, as I shared with the academic vocabulary, we saw that in iReady. We also saw it in the Regents exam analysis, helping students to best use vocabulary terms on the assessment to understand them, to be able to decode them, to be able to annotate on the exam, are all things we've been looking at as departments. Again, that close reading and writing on the exams, that part 2 where students have to analyze something and then write about it, strengthening their skills there, and of course a focus on the new standards and assessments. They've changed for all of our courses in the past few years, and we're really trying to strengthen not only the teaching and learning, but our students' strategies when they sit for these exams. Next come our AP exams. So for our AP exams, we have some really great information to share. Of the 21 courses offered, 18 had average exam scores above the New York State and global average. 42% of our students are enrolled in at least one AP course, and we had the highest percentage of 3+ scores in the last 5 years in June of 25. 6 courses had an average higher than a 4 or 5, and again on an AP exam, the highest you can get is a 5, so that's pretty impressive from our students and teachers. 7 courses had all students achieving a 3 or above, which means all students attempted this level of rigor, and they were all successful on the culminating exam. 5 courses saw an increase in their overall score as compared to previous years, and 8 courses saw an increase in their overall class average. And so when we're talking about Elevate Elwood, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about continuing to push the needle, continuing to push the level of expectations and the rigor in courses and the support for our students to attempt this high-level coursework, and also to see success there. So we're really excited about these scores. Promise I'm almost there. All right, so looking at graduation rate, the tricky thing about graduation rate here in Elwood, I said we're a small town. Every one student affects us in a full percentage point or more, depending on where the rounding is. But every student is important to us, and so we are overhauling our multi-tiered system of supports as a leadership team with teachers. We really want to ensure that we're individualizing instructional plans for kids who might be at risk of graduation, and finding ways to help them to cross that line and cross that stage. So this is, 99% is great, but until we're at 100, it's not good enough. And the last point of data that I wanted to talk about this evening, this is new under the ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act. This is a new data point that schools are required to report on and look at, and it's the level of chronic absenteeism. So chronic absenteeism means that students are absent for 10% of their school year. And so this is the elementary and middle school, this is K-8, and we're looking at an 8.8%, that all students, that bar all the way on the left, of our students are chronically absent. And that equates to 103 students. So 103 students are chronically absent in our lower levels. And then when we move to the high school, we're seeing an even higher percentage of 9.4. Again, these are not numbers that we're being cited for or that are above the national, the state average, but again, any one student that is struggling with challenges in the Elwood School District we're interested in. And so for our high school, 64 students, right, they have a smaller population, so 64 students at the high school are struggling with chronic absenteeism. We look at all of the different, we slice the data in many different ways. We look at their ethnicity, we look at students with disabilities, ELs, economically disadvantaged, in order to find insights and ways to help support these students with this. So you'll be hearing about some upcoming initiatives, I think starting at the high school, related to attendance and getting students to want to come to school. All right, so the final chapter for this evening, at least, our next chapter. So given our story and our journey, here are our goals over the course of the school year. We have lots of curriculum planning days that we've already completed and are to be completed. We're really looking at our literacy continuum because we're looking at those vocabulary and comprehension pieces across K-12 in the content areas, because we've noted across multiple data points that here's the place where we push the needle for Elwood and we elevate. We're looking at our multi-tiered system of supports. That's the way we individualize the educational experience here at Elwood in order to get those graduating seniors across the stage, in order to get them to come to school if they're chronically absent, in order to get them to proficiency if they're really close. So those are the things we're doing there. Through our budget cycle, we did feel a little bit in our teaching positions and our leadership positions. We have some facilities work, and we'll be proposing a capital bond. And then that New York State Portrait of a Graduate is really keeping us honest in ensuring that we promote authentic learning. We're looking at continuums in financial literacy, digital literacy, all the things that are preparing our students for post-secondary success. And strengthening our school to community program with not only internships at Huntington Hospital and virtual enterprises courses, but many more things like that for students to get really excited and engaged in their learning. So, as I said, Elwood Elevate isn't just a catchy slogan for a year. The meaning is deep. We're focusing on our story and looking critically at all areas in our learning community to innovate, integrate, and inspire. We continue to focus on elevating the Elwood learning community and continuing our tradition of being a small town with deep roots, strong traditions, and an extraordinary student focus. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Great job. Any questions or comments from the Board of Education? Dr. Siddiqui?
That was that was a very robust presentation, and I loved it. I loved everything. I do have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Okay. Because I was taking a few notes as you were talking. I love how you kind of connected it to our goals, and that all of our points to make sure that we're going in the right direction is all kind of coming back to our goals. So I love that. My main question, I love data. We all actually really like data, and you know that we've always asked you to bring data together. My one question, I'm just looking through, well, one thing was in our niche, I do applaud your presentation. Everything was perfect. But I did notice that we got kind of a low score on the food. And so, I just wanted to make sure that, we're addressing that because, that's important.
Yes. All data points are excellent points of reflection, and yes, we are looking at that.
Okay. So that's kind of more of like a community input, like the kids, or that's just the perception?
Niche is a little tricky. A lot of it is based on the comments on the website, and so in order to improve your score, you really need to get the community to come out and provide that positive or just honest feedback. And so it's a little tough to know how skewed it is.
Okay. All right, because I was just like everything
else
was an A.
reflection.
Okay, that's great. And then on this page, the best high school U.S. ranking for the math and science proficiencies. I was just wondering, if you had any comments on that. We got like a 75 and an 83. Is that something that we're looking at too?
Yes. Yeah. I dug into this a little bit. It's not something I've really ever looked at before. Mm-hmm. However, I believe it has to do with the way you designate your student diploma. And so one of the things that we know in Elwood is typically most students have a humanities diploma. They might take high-level science and math courses, but there's actually a designation you get on the diploma. And I suspect that that's part of the reason that score is as such, but we definitely need to look into why that is, because given we had great AP results, you would expect that to be a bit higher.
Yes, that's what I was trying to glean from that.
So to be continued there. We're still digging into their very complex rating system.
Yes, no need to answer any of these right now. I'm just kind of pointing out what I gleaned from the presentation. My other question is about the iReady diagnostics. So I know you did say this, but just to clarify, when you look at the fall 25 and the overall 24, 25, it looked like, the green or the above, like where you're ready, is that, or you've gained mastery. So they use like if you're taking in third grade, they're looking at the entire third grade, and then when you take it in the fall, you're not expected to know the entire curriculum at that point.
Yes, thank you for helping clarify.
Yes.
So those bars, that green bar is the students who are mastering the grade level content. And we wouldn't expect that bar to be really large in the fall because, as you said, if they're a third grader, they haven't really mastered much of third grade. Typically, some kids come in above, and that's why the green is there.
Okay, great. And then in the Regents proficiency, because I know a few years back we were concerned about some of our Regents performances, so I just wanted to, it looks like, things are gotten a lot better, so I want to point out to the community that maybe following that part too is geometry, like it looks like we've improved a lot in geometry. I know that was one of our weaker points. Can you comment on that, or?
Yeah, I think, post-COVID, I was in another district. I've had a conversation with a lot of my colleagues across Suffolk County, and many districts saw this kind of like dip and rebound effect.
Okay.
And so I think that's a bit of what you're seeing. I know that the math department under previous leadership really dug in to align the continuum there and to look at, increasing the rigor in those courses, and we're seeing the effects.
Yes.
And that's important to note when we're talking about changing teaching and learning. It's not always necessarily the next data point that you see the change. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, so it's nice to see that rebound, and that's what we're hoping for, that really focused work in vocabulary and comprehension.
Yes, yeah, because you have to look at it from where the foundational part of it is, even though geometry isn't taken till later. It's like earlier where you intervene and then you notice it a couple of years later. So I see that's happening. And then I just wanted you to comment on the physics. Is that something that we're looking at, or?
Yeah, so each course sat for multiple periods. We sat with data dashboards, and we dug in, and we have multiple ideas on things to really focus and weigh in on there. So one of the things that we're noting about physics is the students that take AP Physics are also taking the Regents exam, which is wonderful. However, AP Physics deals with really like 75% of the coursework, let's say, and the other 25 is really taught post-AP exam. So in that little bit of time between May and June, we're squeezing in about a quarter's worth of work.
Oh, wow.
And these are advanced kids, they can do it, but it is a tough, that's tough. We could teach it earlier, but then we'd be skimping on some of the AP preparation, which we're doing so well on. So we did have lots of conversations about how to fix that moving forward and try and strengthen it. But that is why you're seeing much more of a dip in physics.
So
it's
that's
because
more the
they're
Regents.
AP kids doing a bang-up job on the AP side.
And then my last point about the chronic absenteeism, I'm so happy to see that, because that is something that the American Academy of Pediatrics is also looking at. And then we also, Dr. Steele, Mrs. Weiss, and I were all at the NYSBA conference, and that was a major point at NYSBA as well, which is the New York State School Board's conference. And so I was really happy to see that. But obviously, that's something that's really important. It's, kind of looking at like why the students are not coming in, right? And we're worried about the mental health of these students, or, is it the health effect, or is it something else that's going on that they don't feel comfortable, or, they feel, and this is a nationwide issue, right?
Yes.
It's not just here.
It's not unique to Elwood or New York State. It is definitely nationwide and post-COVID. we've seen a big increase. And we're looking at
Yes.
things, instructionally and incentive-wise, but simple things about just notifying parents sooner of the absence, because
Okay.
parents are partners in their child's
Yes.
education. And if they know that Amy is late for class, they might send her a text and say, get to school. And so we're trying to kind of decrease the amount of time between when the student does not show up for class, at least at the high school level, and when the parent is notified.
And then are you looking at, so this data is from last year?
So
and-
this is 23-24
23,
data.
24,
This,
okay.
this presentation didn't quite line up with the release of all of the
Okay.
24-25 data. So we'll have
Okay.
that data out and we'll put it in, a board update when it becomes
Yes.
available.
I mean, I guess it'll be interesting to see if we can kind of use the 23, 24 data to hopefully decrease some of that in the future and maybe
Sure.
get to the root causes. But I know that this is a big data point that a lot, everybody is looking at.
And it's on the New York State report card.
Yeah.
So it is publicly available once the state releases it for the 24-25 school year.
Okay, well, thank you again for your
You're welcome.
presentation. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you.
Sorry to go backwards. Dr. Siddiqui got me thinking of some things. Are students allowed to self-select into AP classes, or do they have
Yes.
to get approval? So wouldn't the data also be a little bit skewed with APs, because you might have someone like myself who self-selected into an AP class and I didn't do well in the test? So when you break down the data, do you separate that just to get a deeper dive about, because like I said, you could see our AP scores might be lower, but like I said, you might have students that self-select. So do you break that apart when you're looking at data?
So, it's interesting, as you all know, I'm new to the district, and it's one of those deep dives that I did go into, but what's important to note is that we are doing so well, we didn't need to disaggregate that data. We're proud to report that not only are we increasing our scores, and we are seeing courses where every student sitting in the class in an open enrollment is achieving a passing or higher, but that they're doing it with open enrollment, right? So it might not be somebody who would have traditionally been recommended for an AP course, but we're willing as educators to allow them to challenge themselves at that level of rigor, and they're succeeding, and our scores are still going up. So students are self-selecting, they're seeing rigorous coursework, and they're successful.
Okay, and also I know with data, do you cross-reference students, whether it's AP region scores, with their attendance record to see if those that are not coming to school or are late a lot, are those pulled out when you do a deeper dive? Because, unfortunately, those kids that have a hard time getting to school, we are such a small district that those 60 you mentioned could make our scores, look bad when they're released in the paper. Do you pull those students out when you do your data dive?
So we don't pull them out, but we note them, right? So, and we do this regularly within our building instructional support teams. So for those 103 students at the early level, and for those 64 students at the high school level, our instructional support team knows who each and every one of them are. They're on our radar, and they are looking at them in relation to their test scores, their behavior, their discipline record, and all of those things to try and figure out what's the combination of supports to help them, again, ultimately get that diploma from Elwood School District.
Okay, and with regard to iReady, I get a lot of parent phone calls. Oh, my son or daughter didn't do great on iReady, and I try to explain to them that it's literally a blip on the radar, because kid could be not in a great mood that day, or especially in kindergarten or first grade, they might just be clicking to click. Are there other assessment tools that teachers use that are a little lengthier in process? So if a parent calls up and says, how's my son or daughter doing in math and reading, we're not just going to iReady and saying, oh, wow, they improved. Do they do running records? Do they do anything that's a little bit deeper? So these parents, like I said, you might see an iReady score and be, oh my God, and go into panic mode. Can you speak to any other assessments that teachers are using that provide a little bit more time than just one little iReady dot?
So traditionally, running records were the thing in a school system, but they're a little bit debunked with all of our science of reading. And so we do have the oral reading fluency, the ORF exam, that is administered at an individual level in our elementary schools. And the other thing is that our teachers, across K-8 are really, they know our students intimately, right? They're having that conversation, they're taking those anecdotals, and they know students. So I'm going to pretend to be like Dr. Siddiqui for a moment. You know, if you go to a doctor and you get a full workup, you get lab results, you have a full physical, maybe you have a scan, if one of those things is off, it doesn't mean we're dying, right? There's just something, right? We look at the holistic picture. Am I doing okay? Do I get my MD? Okay. So the same thing, the same approach with all of these different data points with our students. We don't want to focus in on one thing. It is the holistic overall picture of our students that tell their story. And it's really important to note that. But when you get your iReady results, and the fall results are up on the portal, I encourage you to speak with your child's teacher during parent-teacher conferences, to call and ask questions, reach out to the curriculum office. We are more than willing to sit with you and help you understand ways for you to continue to advocate for your child's education.
Can a parent get the ORF score, or is that just something that's in-house?
We're not posting that on the portal. We're still getting comfortable with it. It kind of replaced running records, and
Okay.
it was new to us this fall. I'm not saying we won't share it. We're just not pushing it to the portal yet. So if you have questions about your child's reading levels, you are more than welcome to reach out to teachers to talk about all these points.
And then with regard to chronic absenteeism, which is across Long Island, I know you said you're going to be doing some things. Can you talk about them yet, about what you might do at the elementary level compared to middle school level, compared to high school level, to get these students to come to school and support them? Because it is a huge problem every year across Long Island. It's getting worse and worse. Can you speak to any of it yet? I know you said you're still in.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. So through the policy committee, we actually, at our next policy, are looking at our policy for attendance. As a requirement for K through 8, there needs to be an incentive piece of the policy. So the state is recognizing that students need to be incentivized. One really great old-fashioned way to get kids to come to school is to have them be excited about what they're going to do there, right? So authentic, exciting, immersive learning experiences, but also rewards and planning strategically really fun events for those high call-out days, if you will, right? So maybe the class celebration is on a Friday, because sometimes kids take off on Fridays. So, strategically doing things like that. At the high school level, we've had lots of conversations, again, about using our Parent Square notification system to really engage our parents as partners and let them know that attendance issues are happening on a period-by-period basis.
Are you able to use, I know Parent Square has a feature where it can send a message right away to the parent saying, we noticed Mr. Edwards is out today, can you tell us why? And we've been using it where I work, and it kind of puts them on blast to tell you right away where they are, and that, sometimes you gotta,
Yes. I
it
don't
can't
know.
be fun all the time.
Walter, I don't know why you didn't show up. If you could submit your note, that'd be great. Yes, we are looking at that without overwhelming parents. So we're removing the phone call because we know that
Right.
could be highly irritating during the workday, but push notifications and text messages are things that we're looking at on a period-by-period basis. And we're looking at two things, just kind of like a campaign to let parents know what we're doing, so all of a sudden they don't get that on blast and freak out. But also we're working on the programming of the timing, so figuring out that sweet spot when most teachers have taken attendance within the first 5 minutes and when those push notifications can go out to parents. So that's all in the works.
Awesome, thank you. And once again, I want to say thank you for the presentation. I think data is great, but as you know, it's not the full answer, so I do encourage residents with children in our schools, communicate with your teacher to really get the full picture, because like I said, sometimes, you win these niche awards and they're great and everything, but you don't even know what really goes into it, especially the News World Report. They take in like your poverty level, so some of these districts that are scoring high are super wealthy, so we're doing well, and I'm very happy where we are in Elwood, but I just don't want people to call up and say, why are we just number 6? Because each of these surveys takes in so many different factors, and some of them are just out of our control, and in my opinion, not very equitable across the board. But
Sure.
I do appreciate, since you've joined us, you hit the ground running, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your transparency with all the questions, and I look forward to seeing how some of your solutions work out. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. I'm just going to add quickly, just obviously with the deep dive of the data, I think it's very important that not only did you do the deep dive, but our teachers and yourself, they're utilizing the data, right? You're using it to drive instruction. And I think that, to Mr. Scroll's point, is what the data really is. It's not just a data point on a map or a newspaper. It's what are we doing to take the data and actually drive the instruction, to close those gaps for our students, remediate the instruction, get those numbers up, and do what we have to do as a district to get the students to do better, right? We want that 100% graduation rate. We need the data to see where the flaws are and how to fix that. So I think obviously we're doing a really great job of diving deep and doing that. So kudos to you and the team and our teachers. They're doing a wonderful job conceptualizing everything and making it come to fruition for our students. Just in a joking manner, for the food, B-. If we give better food, we might get better attendance. I'm just saying. That might be a good incentive to get the kids here. Give them something with maybe a little more caloric intake. They might be more excited to come to class.
All
Not too much
within the
sugar, but high in
all
calories,
within
maybe.
the wellness policy.
Bed and fiber. I don't know what you do, but we'll work on that. And just going back to the chronic absenteeism, obviously it's a nationwide, pandemic in itself. Do we have tiers in place as far as how we're addressing the 5% student absentee rate, the 10%, and then the frequent flyers who are well past the federal threshold? Are we doing different tiered systems to make sure that we're meeting the students' needs to get them to get back into the school?
Yes, at this point, there is notification that goes out much sooner than the 10% to families, not just on a period-by-period basis, but, for example, your child has been absent from school 6 days this quarter. Those sort of letters are going out at the middle school, for example, to let parents know that it's becoming a problem. But along with those letters, it's not just that we're expecting parents to, have the magic bullet to fix these things, but we're meeting as teams to talk about each of those students individually and figure out plans for their success.
Perfect. That's an awesome opportunity for the students, because sometimes they just need the solutions and the parents just need the help. So I'm glad that we're providing both of those, because sometimes it's a simple fix. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it. There we go. That brings us to our board recognition of donations. We do have a plethora of donations this evening. Mr. Scarola, if you will, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for your donations. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent and the Board of Education accepts the following donations with extreme gratitude. We've received $3,660 from the Elwood Booster Club to support the following after-school clubs for the 2025 early fall season. Boyd Coding Club, 4 weeks, 1 session, $320. Boyd Video Game Club, 5 weeks, 1 session, $400. Boyd Yoga and Mindfulness Club, 5 weeks, 1 session, $400. Boyd Yoga and Mindful Club, 5 weeks, 1 session, TA, $100. Boyd Sweets and Treats Club, 4 weeks, 1 session, $320. Boyd Sweets and Treats, 4 weeks, 1 session, TA, $80. Harley Art Club, 5 weeks, 2 sessions, $800. Harley Art Club, 5 weeks, 2 sessions, TA, $200. Harley Coding Club, 5 weeks, 1 session, $400. Harley Sweets and Treats Club, 4 weeks, 1 session, 2 teachers, $640. 3 library books from the Elwood Middle School PTA for the EMS library, valued at $43.47. Diary of a Wimpy Kid by Jeff Kinney, War Games by Alan Gratz, and Refugee by Alan Gratz, and $5,000 from the Elwood Athletic Club to support the Elwood Athletics. Thank you, everybody, for your generous donations. We appreciate them. They let our kids do a lot of great things inside and outside of school. And send it back over to Mr. Tomeo, please. Thank you.
I don't even know what to say. That was just, that was something to scroll. Thank you. Well, with all of that, and without the broadcasting voice of Mr. Scarola, may I have a motion to approve the donations in its entirety? Motion by Mr. Scarola, seconded by Mr. Edwards. All in favor, 4-0. Thank you to all the donations. All right, brings us up to our consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda in its entirety? Motion by Mr. Edwards, second by Dr. Siddiqui. Any questions or comments? I will just comment quickly. We do have some resignations this evening for the purpose of retirement. We have some long-standing personnel members of the Elwood faculty that have been here with us a very long time. So we do want to congratulate them on the anticipated retirement, and we look forward to celebrating them later in the year. With no other questions or comments, I'll take a motion to approve. Motion, Mr. Edwards, second, Dr. Siddiqui. All in favor, 4-0. With that, should bring us up to our next residents' remarks. Any residents wishing to speak? Seeing none, I will take this opportunity just to thank our veterans. We had the opportunity on Tuesday to be off to reflect and pay honor to our veterans. We have Thanksgiving coming up, so we wish everybody in the community a wonderful and happy and healthy Thanksgiving. With that, a motion to adjourn the meeting. Motion, Dr. Siddiqui, seconded by Mr. Scarola. All in favor, 4-0. Thank you, everyone.